Yeah, we should probably at least address that because now
Fuck you.
I'm sorry.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I tried so hard. This week to be like, we're not going to talk about Shia. We're not going to talk about Shia said some racist shit. Fuck!
God damn it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unsolicited Opinions Podcast. I am your host, of course, the Meerkat Monarch. And this unruly bunch have been my... I've been away from you guys for 2 weeks now, so I see all sort of semblance of human manners have just been wiped away.
I bet you missed us.
Jan, delete that tweet. Jan, delete that tweet.
No, stop pretending like you didn't fucking miss us.
Jan, delete the tweet. It's the link to the Hangout, not the video.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Suddenly 50 people
delete.
Delete. I just looked at it just now and clicked on it.
Of course it's Kel who points it out. Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah, it feels good.
Hey, fan.
and then V shows
You having
up.
any problems getting in the swing of it?
You've gone for 2 weeks, look what happened.
God.
Yeah, you just forget how to do your job, don't you?
Yeah, sorry. I'm still in fucking vacation mode. I'm still in just signing books and writing mode, so I'm sorry.
The Hangout suddenly doubles in size as Teal Deer and the entire Badger Brigade show up.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Okay, I have now...
Could you imagine fucking Alison Tiemann just talking about Shia LaBeouf with us all night?
Stop talking about much better and more popular podcasts, guys. Jesus.
Anyways,
We're networking, baby. We're networking.
we're gonna start this off with me this week. We got a full set
better
today.
reshoot the link
We got
because no one's watching yet.
We got the full spread.
well, we'll continue on, and then people can jump in when they feel like it. Oh
We got
God,
all the regulars.
Open the DMs and then just like fucking.
I admit to having a little too much coffee already, so.
I can start
Oh boy.
I can start up the 80s hair metal again. That would make the show go off even better.
Anyways, I've been gone for 2 weeks. I've had a bit of a vacation up north with my family, which was nice, and then I did a mini book tour in the area, which was really cool. Which
Okay, guys, we lasted about 3 minutes this time before Jan mentioned his book. Good job,
Yeah,
everyone.
okay, well done. Everyone.
God damn it! It's on the fucking topics list, okay? I get to shill my shit now, and then Plipp gets to talk about his shit right after me. I'm sorry.
But you know you're gonna
I
show us
should've-
later,
I should have
right?
been the gracious host and allowed Plippy to talk about his stuff first. You want to talk about your stuff, Plipp?
Yeah, you can go first, mate.
Yep. Okay. So, anyways, and the book tour went pretty well. I sold a lot of books,
Congrats.
and yeah. It was.
Didn't you get mentioned by some Twitter account that chronicles new and upcoming authors or something?
Yes. I got mentioned on a couple of. While I was away, there was a couple of reviews that came in, and they were mostly positive, which was really nice. And I've also gotten some feedback from people who I don't know at all from up north and everywhere else that really are enjoying the book thus far, and it's a nice feeling because it's my debut novel, and it's just it's growing slowly but surely, and it's reaching more and more people, which is nice. And today I reached 90 books sold, which was excellent. Which was
Yay! So do our hardcovers.
Yes. I am gonna fix that fucking ordering page on my blog, by the way, because I think it's really confusing. So I want to set up an easy to follow instruction malarkey.
That would be a smart way.
Yeah. So it's a little easier to follow and order and so on and so forth.
That's it.
Anyways, oh God, we have a lot of people in chat. Sorry, what's a book? A book, you say? Heresy? Hey, it's Angela and her hubby that are in chat.
You need to link them to the medieval book support.
Yeah. Angela, everybody is. Oh, does Jan have a book out? I haven't noticed. I'll stop talking about my book now, but I'm proud of it. I can't fucking help it, and I'm sorry.
Understandable.
And if
It's your creative baby, that's a big thing.
Yeah. And yes.
Now,
Plip. No. Talk about your baby.
My baby, okay, my baby. All right, every year in the UK, all the four great nations, England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. Well,
You mean the one great nation and the three hangers-on, right?
Yeah, the good bit. Every year there is a kind of in the England it's a tournament. Around in Wales it's more of a league where all the amateur theatre groups, and you have to be amateur, you can't be professional. Otherwise, you get disqualified.
Are you maintaining your amateur status to compete in the acting Olympics?
Yeah, you have to be. It's really weird because it's filled with people who are professionals who aren't anymore. What happens is that every year there's this the festival goes on from January to June, and you pick out who is the best amateur theatre group with a one-act play. The rules are simple: between 25 and 55 minutes. 10 minutes in, 5 minutes out, boom, off you go. And this year, my team, for the 7th time, won the All England. We are the English champions again, best in the country. Out of about 3,000 teams, we win. Woo! Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yay!
But last weekend.
Oh.
Shia LaBeouf clapping.jpg.
No, he wasn't. Strange enough, we had more of an audience than he did. We made more than $1 worth of sales.
Yeah.
It was All Britain, and we haven't won the All Britain ever. Typically, it goes to Scotland. And this year, we ventured over to Ireland, the good bit. I ventured over to Ireland. We did our plays. We were represented England in what I've got to say was a pretty farcical festival. Let's put it this way: the Irish did not have the huge grandeur of previous All British finals. But fortunately, for the first time ever, we won. England finally won it. But here's my favourite thing. We got the big gold trophy. We're quite happy. But here's my favourite bit, is where everyone made it quite clear that they'd rather we didn't. We have to remember.
You guys weren't brown enough.
Well, no.
It's not even that. It's just when you bring all the, England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland together, they do tend to gang up on us a bit.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not even the actual other teams that support the country. Scottish team is always really nice. The Welsh team is always really nice and drunk. Irish team are always there. But this year it was the adjudicator who goes, I just think that it is a scoring system. You can't give it to one that took your heart. And I thought, we've won, haven't we? We've won. He has just said to us flat out that we are the one that didn't grab anyone's heart, and we've won. This is the get out. And he goes, we'll go to tax, and it was like tax as the name of the English team. And we were like, yay! Then they waffled on for 20 more minutes about the importance of Brexit and shit. And I was actually asked to settle down, because every time they sit down, every time it goes, this is from a time of where there can be no, this is a place set in a time when there can be no, you have to follow the rules. There is no protest. Everything is said is final, and people are ignored. Reminds me of Brexit. And I just went boo from the audience.
Nice.
And afterwards he came up to us and goes, you are probably the best group. You're probably the best group we have. You do everything you do really well, but you never have heart in anything. I thought, every other play that you've put through and won was a thing about two salt of the earth, Irish/Scottish people having a domestic argument. That's all you seem to like.
Oh, social realism, how I miss thee.
Yeah. So anyway, I went to Belfast. If anyone knows to Belfast, this is no joke. They was Thangs. It was a city that was doing really, really well for itself until the World War and the Troubles, when Northern Ireland became its own nation. And I went up to the. I'll say to these people off air, but I'll say it to you now before we move on. I went up to the Wall of Peace, where the Republicans live on one side and the Unionists live on the other. And on the United Kingdom side, murals of poor Protestants who were gunned down innocently for no reason. Murals of the Queen, William of Orange, non-stop Union, English, Scottish, Welsh, Plippy, Canadian flags. I kid you not, a Canadian flag was flying up there. Right. Then I walked around to the other side of the Wall piece, the Republican side. I looked at it. I walked around the wall, and the first thing I noticed was all the murals were crossed guns and shit. You know, we fought. You know, we prepared.
Hezbollah style shit.
Yeah,
We fought the law, and the law won.
prepared for war, but prepared for peace.
Peace.
But
Fight for peace, but prepare for war.
yeah, that was it. And then I walked around and saw a huge mural. First thing I saw, I kid you not, I walked around the Wall of Peace, Fidel Castro. So I thought, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know which side of the wall I'm going to be on.
You mean which
You
side of the
mean
wall
you're
you're going to
pretty
be up
sure
against?
Yeah, as I was about to say, which one is
Nah,
your wall
beat you
going to
to
be
it.
on? Your back going to be on?
All those Trump tards who just worship the ground the man walks on with his giant orange. Oh my God, Fidel Castro!
But yeah, it's but the Wall of Peace is coming down eventually. They have said, because it's not the violence in Belfast is not that bad. But then about its history, you find out
Because
how
the wall's
powerful.
there.
Wasn't there the purge there this week?
What? What, you mean like the movies?
No, the purge, the event that they have in Belfast, where they burn huge fucking bonfires. Tim Pool has done some reports on it.
All right.
I didn't say anything like that when I was there. It was all pretty chill.
Yeah, because they were building up to it. They built like fucking huge bonfires in the middle of Belfast.
Are you sure this wasn't a coke dream, Jen?
No, I'm pretty sure this is not part of my hallucinogenic trips.
Now. Googling now.
Anyway, the All England
Stand
Drama
by,
Festival.
now Googling.
For our English people listeners, All England Drama Festival, come by, support your local group in the coming years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry because some of them are absolute shit, but what you gonna do? It's amateur.
All right.
Hashtag not the beast.
My advice is wait until sort of like you get to the semi-finals and finals. That's when you don't see any plays about Daleks, for example. Or someone's
Virtually
thesis on
every entry on Belfast and the Purge mentions Tim Pool.
That's worrying.
It's like at least,
What has that man started now?
I know he's the first investigative journalist in a long time, but holy shit.
All I'm getting from Belfast, The Purge, is the film's release date in the city. No, pretty chill place. And when you hear those stories about, for example, when Megadeth turned up there and Dave Mustaine stood there in Northern Ireland and screamed out as a huge political blast, "Give Ireland back to the Irish!" And he was carried out of the city under armed guard. People going, "All right, shut it down, shut it down."
Shut it down.
Does anybody else actually live there?
What, in Belfast?
I think Obama's family used to live there, so they took him around a completely unrelated. When he visited Ireland for his hereditary home, they took him around a completely unrelated house and said it was his.
Really? He used to live in Northern Ireland as well?
No, he had a family, family
he's-
member that lived there. Yeah.
His mother is white, and so
So she's
And
Irish?
people forget that.
Yeah, and the house that her family was supposed to have lived in, and he turned up there with a huge Irish visit, and they're all like, "Oh, Mr. Obama, come round the house of your ancestry," and it wasn't his. It doesn't exist. I think it was for years. They just
The
took him around
house
a
of
random
your
house.
ancestry.
Amazing.
That's my story.
Yeah. So you had a good trip as well.
Had a good trip, lots of fun.
Yeah.
Went to the Titanic Museum, saw Goliath and Samson, still the biggest shipbuilding cranes in the world.
Nice.
Saw the building where the Titanic, the Olympic, and the Britannia were built. Designed, sorry, not built. And yeah, it's a good trip. I recommend Belfast. It's got a lot of graffiti, a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of
Oh, that
Antifa.
goes on the brochure, Plippy.
Yeah, the Antifa.
Come
Yeah,
to Belfast. It has a lot of graffiti.
Well, yeah.
saw some Antifa people.
You just have a spray painted picture of a dick on the.
Our sectarian violence is now a theme park.
My favourite thing about it is that Antifa have turned up and they have all their spray saying "Love your trans kids" and queer pride / with an anarchy system underneath it around the city. I actually asked some locals about that, and they went, "Yeah, they're just everyone's sort of like they know who they are, aren't they?" Which I thought was quite strange because you ask people around London who Antifa are, and they go, "I do not understand who they are."
How is that going to sell with Catholic Republicans and fucking diehard Unionists?
Protestant Unionists, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of somebody who...
They are seen as a bit of a joke there, though. You have to remember that they are seen as a joke.
I was going to say,
Ireland,
a true religious fundamentalist who's grown up, been raised in that sort of environment, they just look at somebody and they just see a confusion of colors and silliness.
Well,
that's about it.
Ireland's
It sounds like a pride parade to me.
Ireland's seen plenty of terrorists, so to see Antifa was just like, that's cute. You're just dressing up in little black things over there and smashing up some beers. Aren't you cute?
Speaking
going back to me when you got a Volkswagen filled with plastic explosives, you little fecker.
Where's the man going in?
Let's teach you how to sing black intentions.
That's the woman's restrooms, lad. Come back here.
Do you know any levelers? You got any levelers?
Speaking of colors and leprechauns, Tariq Nasheed.
Hey.
Magical picture.
Oh, the old Jan segue is back.
You missed it. I'm back, baby.
Oh,
Jan
God.
are like a Viking longship ramming ashore.
Charge! Or puns!
Everybody off the boat, we're going to kill some Englishmen.
What was that? Was that almost
all right?
Swedish?
Who wants to do the story?
Yeah, do it.
All right. So Tariq Nasheed is known for kind of being an attention whoring moron.
Pretty much.
So he starts this online group to make a list of suspected white supremacists, and of course, like, the list is full of people he doesn't like, with no real proof whatsoever of them being white supremacists. Like, fucking Bunty is on the list. Like, when you have brown people on your suspected white supremacist list, you might be just making an enemy list to go after people.
The term just means
all of this is just kind of like whatever. Like, you had to put in your credit card information in order to put stuff on the site. Not a scam at all, though. Not a scam at all. You just now heard about that. But what's really funny is the logo for the website is literally a swastika with extra lines.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a swastika where they were like, let's make it prettier.
It's a swastika plus.
Yeah.
It's literally not
It's a swastika plus.
I literally couldn't think of anything else it could possibly be. It's a square that's turned into a diamond shape, and it's got like, was it 4 like thermometer ends?
It's a swastika. It is literally a swastika that looks like it's wearing a girdle on, like,
Yeah.
certain parts of it.
We do know, the more that we talk about him, that we are in fact feeding his power.
This is true.
Okay,
But he'll gain more power and become more hilarious, because he's just, I don't think he has any fucking influence.
I honestly think he
ability
should be
to
put
do
up
it.
as a joke to make fun of.
Yeah.
Like, nobody with any real intelligence takes this dude seriously. He's just a joke. Like, he anybody with like basic human intelligence would have seen that logo and be like, okay, even if I was an attention whore, this kind of makes me look bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Donna Barr. She's a feminist comic book writer who's actually good, both at comics and at writing. I know, rare for somebody who's a hardcore feminist, but she has a great phrase that applies to so many things. Those who take this seriously deserve to.
Good line.
Originally applied to people bitching about her comics because she did stuff like gay Germans in North Africa. That was her original comic, The Desert Peach. And it's great. I highly recommend it if you want to hunt it down. But you get somebody like Tariq Nasheed, and yeah, exactly. That's what he is. He's the kind of guy who wants you to take him seriously because that's the only way he'll get money out of you. But if you do take him seriously and you think back on what you bought into, it's like realizing, yeah, I joined the Scientology cult and I gave him $50,000 over 20 years and I don't know why.
All I know is that these days I listen to him and I've given him some serious thought, and I have washed my ass and I'm no longer moist. So thank you, Tariq.
See, he did give good advice on that. Everybody should wash their ass.
Wash
you
your ass.
can at least recognize that.
Yeah,
He is in fact doing the entire United States a favor by doing that public service announcement.
He's literally so much of a, like, even black people are like, come on, dude. Like, there's the only people who take him seriously are like maybe like 100 people that hang on his every word, and they're complete morons.
Yeah, some of his followers are really rabid, aren't they?
Yeah, they're completely nuts. They're full, like, the full-blown, unashamed, like, just
Thangs
full-on black
nationalists,
racists.
Yeah.
Those are the people who follow him, and everybody else is just like...
They're as bad as, like Vegan Gains is following.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
He has a follower? No, I was just thinking that I was just looking at his... I watched his piece on, the Weavers Kangs stuff. I know I say that far too much. But I was watching his... and when they went into... Italy Italy has been a place of fine clothes. Yeah, that's because black people came there. And Russia had a great piece of art and had great poetry and music. Black people gave them their language. And Leonardo da Vinci, who taught Leonardo da Vinci these things? Who was his teacher? He won't tell you because he was black. I was thinking he invented them. No one taught. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's do this. And you as Kangs, and I can just see the pyramid with rockets flying off into space. But anyway,
so even in a Planet of the Apes movies, they don't credit our culture for our blue vests.
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ! I had completely forgotten DeRay McKesson existed. I thought after Clinton lost that Black Lives Matter was one of the first things that they defunded.
People for money. No, you don't understand. D-Ray is just the newest in a long line of black hustlers that don't actually help black people, but whine about black problems.
I remember a Boondocks Saint episode about Boondocks episode about that. Or several.
It's the same thing.
Several.
There's a reason why Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton have co-signed on D-Ray, because he's just the next generation of them.
But he looks like he's so easy to beat up, though. That's the weird thing about him.
He is, because that's the thing. He's supposed to be the new age. Like he's catnip for manlet beta social justice warrior males that want to jump on board. So not only like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, they can get money from black people, but D-Ray can get money from white people. So
yes.
He's basically a gap bridging of morons that will give them money for simply whining about problems that they could easily fix themselves.
Yeah, he's basically the Apple version. He's the modern Apple.
Yeah, he's like an Apple product to Jesse Jackson, which is DOS. And now Sharpton is Ubuntu.
Because he's open source, is that why he's Ubuntu?
Yes.
Open source.
But it's
he's open.
Okay, him comparing himself to the monkey in the first place, like even D-Ray stepped away from this because he realized it made him look dumb. Because nobody compared him to a monkey. Like even black people, like, can you not compare us? Like Black Twitter was like, we're not going to co-sign on this, man. Why did you see monkey and automatically see yourself? or us. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've
It's
never
stupid.
gotten that. And I
You know what I
seriously
saw when I
never-
saw that? I thought about, oh, it looks like the inflated jacket Marty McFly wore, but blue.
Yeah, or the actual intention of that monkey, which was a homage
but
to
now
the
that-
original 1960s Planet of
Well,
the Apes. So
but now that
remember-
D-Ray
I
is
still
warning, he's
remember-
like copyrighted the blue vest. Now,
And-
if anybody wears a blue vest, he's
Let
gonna
me
get
just
upset.
say
I still remember when
comparing that monkey to
when
D-Ray
Bush-
was
when-
on
no,
the
I
street.
gotta get
one
that-
at a
Hold on,
time.
hold on.
One at a time.
They
Let
should
Evil
have
go to
compared that monkey to Sean King, because that monkey compared to the other apes there was white.
Oh yeah.
It
Go
was
ahead,
whiter.
Roy.
And I was just saying that I still remember when Bush was constantly characterized as a monkey because he has a chimp-like
Oh, yeah.
face.
Yeah,
He
does,
looks like a friggin' chimp.
He
So
does.
he would get mocked in political cartoons all the time as a monkey. And there was,
I remember that in a
that's
Mad
hilarious.
magazine.
They do it to Obama, and it's like,
Don't
What you talking
anyone
about,
dare.
Yeah,
I think
but
like
there is some
sweatshop.
historical. There is some. I see where you're getting at it. But there
I
are some
know that there is
historical context.
quote-unquote historical background
Yeah.
if you want to go all the way back to the
Yeah.
friggin' Civil War era when, for crying out loud, Abraham Lincoln was likened to a simian,
Yes.
routinely by his political opposition. This is not something unique to one race, for fuck's sake.
No,
Yeah,
no,
but
I agree, but
that's-
you can. What I mean is, I agree with your principle, but I can also see
No.
why people get upset
To
over
me-
it.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a Japanese person getting angry if I walk outside and it's cold and I say there's a bit of a nip in the air.
Yeah.
Nip on the air.
Uh,
The thing is that, I mean, when you look at just facial structure and things like that, Obama didn't actually have
no,
much in the way of simian features. So to liken him to a monkey was pretty much purely because he was black. So nobody bothered to
no,
make.
That's why they did it
looked
more with
like
his wife than they. That's
Yeah.
why they did it more with his wife than
Yeah,
with
the
him
man arms.
because
Yeah. Oh,
When he has the ears coming out, he has the resemblance.
when
no.
people point
He
out
looks
that-
like Dumbo then.
And both of them look more like a monkey than Abraham friggin' Lincoln did.
Yeah.
But,
They-
but
listen,
seriously,
whoa.
the entire reason for doing that is with the exception of some deep South races, the only reason people do that is to say he looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
regardless, I would like
Pretty
to
much.
welcome everyone to the final ever episode of the Unsolicited Opinions podcast before we get shut down. We're not even. We're not even.
No.
We haven't even got sponsors to keep us happy. What's going to happen? We're going to get a sponsor who's then going to immediately shut us down.
They'll go back to this particular podcast. It's like, what is this white blonde-haired guy with the blue eyes talking about?
Why has he got a horn?
And what's wrong with his face?
That's a symbol of white supremacy.
What the horn is.
No, but it's
Yes,
The latest all-right symbol is the unicorn. That'd be
it's
amazing.
literally coming out of a white skull, and it's pointed at the end.
But it is indicative of the time that we're living in. Everybody is looking at something to get pissed off about in general. Which is something when I was away and I didn't have social media 100% all the time in my face. I actually started to think, okay, maybe it's not such a good thing to go around getting offended all the time. It's not healthy for you. So getting some time off fucking social media is fucking incredibly important. And I think that those guys don't, which is why they become so fucking locked into their ideology, because they keep seeing the signs everywhere, because people are trolling them and sending them goddamn memes.
I think it's something to say about identity as well. You remember back in MySpace, everybody was like, this song is literally me, and identity. And now, even less than that, people just need symbols to identify with. And not even to them. You just need like simpler and simpler things to understand the world with. The milk being a white supremacist symbol and stuff like that.
Yeah. One thing I would say about when it comes down to this, when it comes to symbols and weirdness, in my time in Belfast, no, this is something I didn't notice I wanted to bring up, but I had no other way of putting it out. Is when we were wandering around looking at the stuff. You know, when you go around Birmingham or Oxford or London or whatever, you see all these posters that are like McDonald's diversity. You know, you have one person convincingly of each race going.
Oh yeah. Rainbow
thumbs up. Yeah, smoking everywhere. What single goddamn thing I've ever cut with the city that actually had to deal with shit? Constant, nothing but all white people posters advertising stuff and stuff on TV. What else do they seem to have more of than these other cities? More darker skinned people with Irish accents.
Yep, been there longer.
Yeah.
What's funny is that I've just got out of the neonatal unit, and the posters there seem to reflect the birth rates of people coming in, which ain't white.
Yeah, incidentally, I'd like to welcome Luke to the podcast. There he is.
Oh, yeah, so I'm just holding on to him for a little bit. So I'll keep him away from the mic. If he starts crying, I'll mute the mic. He does. He's going to go blonder in a little bit, and guarantee.
Oh, it's going to drop out, then he'll go blonde.
Yeah. By the way, if nobody noticed, we're still live, so.
Yeah.
We're talking about babies. Screw you.
Talking about babies. God damn it! Everybody's reproducing.
I have a baby.
Me,
you have a book.
I'm Plip. We need to get together.
You gave birth to a book.
I have a trophy. And I've been shoving this book in other people's faces at drama festivals.
Thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, let's. Did you have the? You wanted to read a couple of quotes out from his pickup book.
Oh no, Angela's gonna DM me.
Oh yeah, cool. We could do it a little later.
I can do that in a later video. I can do it a separate video. Reminds me, I need to go through last week and find Artivus's passage, his little speech about why black guys date white girls.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Oh no, I didn't.
No, you didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
I'll splice it out and just get that little section for you because it is a corker.
Yeah. Anyways,
while we're on,
we should cover the Evo thing, but I see Artivous is not.
Thank you, Andrew.
AFK right now, so. Did you get any?
Fortune, right?
Because we could do some right now, and then we could.
I kind of don't want to read out pickup artist stuff while my son is on my chest. So I will save it for another night when I get some time.
This is a bad time.
No. He's got to learn. He's got to learn. He's got to learn early. MGTOW.
Son, this is when you get to learn.
That's like the absolute opposite of PUA stuff.
Yeah, I know. People get them mixed up, anyways. Should we talk about the? Yeah, let's do that. Plip, you're a flamboyant individual. Are you also of a different faith? Because now apparently gay Muslims can get married.
And apparently gay sex in the Vatican is worse it's been in hundreds of years. To which I say to them, a bit of role playing and maybe some light candles, good lighting.
Here's the thing about the whole gay sex priest thing.
Oh, okay.
At least they're not fucking the kids anymore.
That was just an aside. It wasn't supposed to be a wormhole.
It's like, why are people complaining about that? It'd be different if they were still fucking kids. They could fuck each other all they want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Get that.
I think some of them say that the paedophilia thing actually came about because someone proposed it as a loophole to celibacy.
Yes.
So potentially buggering maybe along the same lines,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't.
Each other, not the kids.
Yeah. Less likely
now
to
I'm
squeal on
envisioning a Monty Python sketch based on the song Tradition, taking place in Westminster Abbey.
Well, it wouldn't be every sperm is sacred.
Well, no, because you can't have it at Westminster Abbey because that's not Catholic anymore.
Oh, mini fry.
Yeah.
We've been chatting about him for a while.
He's small fry.
He is he's a tiny one. Anyways, yes, let's talk about the gay Muslim wedding first, and then cover the whole Linda Sorsor thing.
All right.
Somebody's gonna kill him.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Let's not go to the most fucking fatalistic point about this entire thing. Immediately,
I'm willing to put
not.
money on the next couple of years. Those two gentlemen, those fine gentlemen, vanishing.
Maybe we should actually explain to the audience what the fuck we're talking about before we start doing this.
We can do our random comments on it.
Yeah. Carry on, Jan.
Anyways, I don't know dick shit about this because I've been away for some time, so I haven't caught up with everything yet. You do it, Plip. You don't know it.
I'd like to point out that I've not actually been keeping up on this. I've been a bit busy this past week. So, Deefry, you tell everyone what's going on.
Hey, I've been rather predisposed. I've been stuck in a hospital for the last 12 days. Hold on. I was going to put this in the chat, but I'll just ask it. Do you think gay Muslim couples flinch if someone asks them if they're going to take the plunge?
Oh.
And that's all my input on it. So
hang on a second. I need a few minutes to work this crimp out of my tail.
Anyone? Hang on. For simplicity's sake, does anyone in this goddamn podcast know anything about the subject we're supposed to be talking about?
I don't even know.
I looked into it
anymore.
and read the article, but the article really didn't say much other than the fact that these two gay Muslim men got married, and they're probably going to be dead soon.
And well, what I heard was that in the comment section there was a bunch of Muslim dudes coming in going, they're not real Muslims, and there was a bunch of feminists going, of course they are. You don't be so mean.
Oh yeah, the war was in there. See, that's the thing. The feminists and the SJWs and they're like, oh, this is great. This proves that Muslim is love and Islam is life, and they're loving. And all the actual Muslims are like, no, we're probably going to kill them. We're pissed off.
Right now, I'm looking at the Pew polling results from 2013 on Islamic morality worldwide. Quote, Muslims overwhelmingly say that homosexual behavior is morally wrong, including 3/4 or more in 33 of the 36 countries where the question.
In a lot of places in Africa, it's like you won't see it below about 92%.
Yeah, the highest level. Let's see here. Even in Albania, only 5% say it's morally acceptable.
Didn't they get 99% in like Mozambique or something along those lines? Somalia? Yeah.
Somalia's really bad.
Mozambique is actually one of the more progressive with
I knew it stuck out in my mind.
11% approval for it.
That's
the most progressive.
You go, Mozambique. You're on the right track.
Second only to Uganda at 12%.
Yeah, because I remember watching Kraut's video about it. It's like, in Saudi Arabia, there's a 5% part of the population who do not consider homosexuality to be a moral act.
Okay, and the thing is, we're talking most of the third world in that case, and I mean, you can make jokes about backwards behavior and attitudes, whatever. But even when you get to Europe, sections, even when you get to European areas that are predominantly Muslim, it's still 70 to 83%.
It is,
definitely wrong.
Unfortunately true.
Say it's okay.
Unfortunately true.
Oh, by the way, there's a development. There's a development in the story. There were a couple of acid attacks in London today. Right? Am I misremembering? I think there was some acid attacks in London earlier today.
Yeah, there have been.
What is the Islamic obsession with using acid?
No. Hold on.
I'm not done yet because the Muslim, the the actual Muslim, the one who was Muslim of the two guys,
Yeah.
has actually gotten death threats online and has been threatened with acid attacks. And I do. Let me see if I can find the.
Okay. In the meantime, I need to point out that the issue with saying that acid attacks in London are inherently Islamic, as you were going to say. The issue being is that gangs have adopted acid attacks because it is notoriously difficult to trace it back, because obviously it's from a beaker, it's thrown. And so you can make a quick getaway and things like that.
Yeah, and apparently they've arrested two kids, one 15 and one 16. So it's most likely teen gangs that are doing that. But I was just saying that yes, he has been threatened with acid attacks, and since there was five acid attacks in 72 minutes in downtown London.
Did these news outlets present their name? Because
no. This is Norwegian news. They don't even mention their ethnicity at all. So it's just two guys, aged 15 and 16, have been arrested for bodily harm, suspected of throwing acids.
I mean, when the news ran the story of the guys getting married, I don't know whether they consented to having their name put out and circulated.
Oh yeah.
Probably not, but folks in the press love to do that anyways. Because
regardless.
No, they have been out public in the media. They have been pretty vocal about it. So I'm thinking that either they did it for the publicity, or they are so naive that they thought, oh, we're just two lovely people that this is the right step for us.
It could have been a protest marriage.
There's one more thing I want to get out regarding the polling information, though. And that is, apparently Britain is, when it comes to the Muslim community, about the most progressive in the world. In that, only 52% of British Muslims say that homosexuality should be banned altogether.
And as we know, in England, 52% is a majority.
Yes, but that's only as opposed to 70 or 80%.
I just said that we were the best. I didn't say we were great.
Yes.
All right.
Gotta love that coin flip.
Yeah.
The thing is,
here's what I've always found about this, the acid attacks thing, which I want to bring up, was I think, God bless him, Tommy Robertson, you glorious twat. He actually did the stupidest thing ever. There was the acid, because as Deefry pointed out, the acid attacks have been sort of like adopted now. Because they're so wonderfully hard to
trace, easy to make.
This happens now that when
thank you.
Yeah, when he said that, he basically opened up the wall now to basically. And I know how the media is going to play it now, because I am still a one-man war against the media. Now then, whenever there is going to be an acid attack in the future, they're going to wheel out the picture of other notorious acid attackers, creepy-looking white dude. That's going to be the narrative from now on.
Yep. 17-year-old gang member, from Mexico. I don't fucking know. Or Polish guy, could be.
Yeah, them Poles.
They've only started trying to pretend that we hate the Polish. Thank you, Young Turks. I can't believe this. The Young Turks actually put out this thing saying that Brexit was a racist thing, but then they go, but the Polish are going to be the most suffering because of this, and they're white. So what's this? Well, let me tell you exactly how bad the English are. It's like, oh, fucking Young Turks.
So it's this weasel words between.
Whoa. The irony of it is that being saying, what country is the staunch anti? We're not going to take in the refugees and have really, really strong immigration controls. The Poland.
Yeah.
Which is the one nation in Europe which is having the least number of social problems at the moment? The Poland ball.
Yep.
Poland ball won, guys.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And everybody knows I crack a lot of jokes on the about the Poles, about the Polish. But here's the thing. They have traveled around Europe the last 20 years and done jobs and then brought the money back to their community and rebuilt the community, and now they're a nation on the rise through a joint effort of both at home and sort of having guest workers everywhere. And they're doing a great job. They don't want to stress their own system, which is barely restarted after communism.
There we go.
To sort of
Your aunt's hatred of the Polish explained by jealous.
no.
That's
no.
That's
Fuck you.
why.
Fuck you. Because Norway is far better as a social.
Dan wishes he was Polish.
Social security safety
was
net
on the pole.
than the
Wait,
Poles.
are Jan's
okay?
mannequins Polish?
God
It's deeper.
Oh,
All that would
So-
work.
No, he's right though. They're actually making a good country by being
Yeah.
the good people and looking after themselves.
For the
Yes.
time being,
Yeah.
they are
Quote,
benefiting
unquote,
quite.
Nationalistic, which
Yes.
a lot of people forget that the problem with National Socialism wasn't the national part; it was the socialist part.
Well, yeah,
For the
you
time
can't
being,
you
they
can't
are-
take nationalism too far as well. But yes,
It's a great
Of course
country
you-
until Germany invades in a couple of years.
Yeah.
The Uzbeks. I suppose. Yeah, the thing is, they've been doing well on the EU as a net beneficiary of, aid and things. It's now that the EU is getting too big for their boots and thinking they have,
Trying to
sway
throw the weight
over-
around.
Yeah, they have for a long time been more than just a trade agreement and been creeping up on power and legislation and things. And now they are effectively trying to, police what the
Well, they're
ethnic
trying to
makeup
blackmail
of the
them.
country will be like.
Yeah, they're trying to blackmail. You're going to take these refugees or else, and they're just like, no, we don't want them. Fuck off.
Now they're trying to play them out the big victims in the Brexit thing. It's so lovely.
Sorry, to hark back on the acid attack thing. You mentioned the 2 points of groups saying that, this is Islam, others saying that, no, they aren't Muslim and stuff. I think it's important to say, potentially there are going to be groups that will say, this is Islam now, get with the program. It's kind of a reformist push, to try and drag the majority of kicking and screaming into the 21st century, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's the target. Maybe it isn't.
Well, there are a few
I think
reformers around, but the media is
Yeah.
definitely
Whenever
trying to bury them.
Whenever someone tries to reform Islam and try and do that, they are immediately shunned by not only other Muslims but by the media themselves. Which is
The
why
media-
whenever
I think-
people try and reform,
I think
whenever somebody tries to reform Islam from the inside, they always end up leaving the religion eventually.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Quilliam Foundation. I mean, look at Najit Nawaz. He is
extremists.
the
but-
most liberal, cool, chill guy.
Yeah.
This is a viewpoint. This is perfectly in line with cool, normal, politically neutral, liberal Britain. Yeah, but whenever he just keeps finding himself unable to speak to anyone but the far right, it's ridiculous. They're the only people that will listen to him.
Like
And
look
he's
at
not found himself
Ali.
and put
She
him any kind of hate list or anything.
But
look at Ali. She had her genitals freaking mutilated. She's seen these horrors firsthand, and she tries to speak about it. But because she says there's a problem, she's considered a monster by not just Islam, but by
She
the
wasn't
media in
allowed in
general.
my country for quote unquote her own safety.
Yeah, for her own safety. And for the love of God,
fuck
this is a woman who
How does
had
that
her
piss me
genitals literally mutilated. And now she can't have a say in, hey, maybe there's something wrong with this religion.
And there were
It's
even
ridiculous.
there were even more conservative people within Islam now, like Imam Tawhidi in Australia.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
great.
great. And he is actually
And you know how many times he gets on the
actually
television?
yeah.
Never.
Yeah, but
And that
he,
pisses
Where-
me off.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
Where
Neil-
Islam is right now, gentlemen, where Islam is right now is at some point prior to Luther putting up his proclamation on the church door.
yes. But
Essentially, what you have is akin to the early schism between Western Rome and the Byzantines, where you have the Eastern Orthodox Christianity and the Catholics. That's the Shia and the Muslims, and they have never progressed beyond that because they're still a young religion comparatively.
Yes, but my point about Tawhidi
Ready
is
for
that
the new dark ages.
yeah, Tawhidi
literally.
he's a
There's a
Muslim that has a conservative point of view on himself. Basically, he interprets it in a very conservative way for himself, but he's very liberal as far as politics goes and so on. So I
You're
think
gonna have to give an example
he's
of
able
that.
to balance the two things in a healthy way, as opposed to everyone must follow my religion. Right? He's like, no, this is my religion. I'm going to follow it. You don't have to.
See, that's the Western concept of tolerance.
Yeah, which is
And we
that's
only
pretty much
learned it
Australia.
after many, many bloody wars where we finally figured out trying to force it on people wasn't going to work.
yes.
Well, that's the problem when it comes to Islam. It has worked.
Yeah.
That's what they've been doing since its inception.
That's
Yeah, but look at
also
the
what
places where it
Catholicism
worked.
was about. The whole point of Catholicism was saying we have a creed and everybody's got to apply to that, or you're a heretic. And if you're a heretic, you can be purged, burned, hung, rolled down a hill, on a bed of spikes.
And
etc.
that's
we did
how
all
America,
of these things in the medieval.
and that's how America
ages.
came to be. Because
Yes.
everyone went, fuck,
Yeah,
I'm
we
leaving.
said fuck
The
that.
Quakers were like, "Fuck this shit. There's nowhere else to go."
The thing is, you've always got the internal thing of that as well, because you have the Wahhabi Deobandi groups basically committing that sort of cries of heresy to other sects of Islam themselves. So it's this kind of internal whirlwind that lashes out at other groups periodically, but the main turmoil is between your Sunni Shia kind of stuff.
And
Guys,
it's actually been on low simmer for the longest time. I think that's the biggest problem. In the West, in Europe, it was knockdown, drag out with whole nations being wiped out. That's rarely happened in Islam.
Yeah.
It's
And there's another good example of their unfortunately very regressive attitude towards towards the gay community, because apparently during one of Linda Sarsour's events, after the media left, they kicked the gay Muslim contingency or group or organization out of the conference room. I haven't found any sources to it, but apparently that is what happened.
They waited until after the cameras were out from the witnesses' accounts I've seen. They waited until the cameras were gone, and then they kicked them out.
Yeah.
I blame the Jews.
Yeah, which is yeah, but it's
The one group
Even-
that was left
even-
alone so far. Let's go after them for a bit, hey guys.
even though I'm really optimistic about the future, I'm not you, Artivous, so I can't have a black heart. That is not a
What
that's
you mean
not
a
a
black
race
card,
thing.
goddammit?
That-
No. Explain yourself, Cracker.
That's not a race thing. That's a fucking term of people who are nihilistic about life. Okay?
Well, I'm still offended. I don't care.
I knew you were going to make this a
What you
race
call
thing.
nihilism, I call realism.
Yeah.
Right, Jan. You got to learn about the progressive stack, white boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Your rating is problematic.
What you call nihilism, I call being realistic.
Yeah. Apparently. Yeah. No, but
Frankly, all that Artivous needs to do to outrank you even more is to be a trans woman and pick a religion. Artivous, what do you want to be?
Well, I can decide, considering with the new gender norms, to be a woman for the day specifically. Just because I feel like it. I feel like a woman today, Jan.
And you feel like a dwarf
That makes
as
me
well?
trans.
Are you a trans dwarf? Are you a trans dwarf?
I am a trans Asian dwarf.
Oh.
And you are beautiful, stunning, and brave. Don't let anyone, not even this white boy over here, tell you otherwise, man.
No, but
no, like the whole.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What were you saying, Jan? Before?
No. I was just gonna say I have a positive outlook on life, and apparently Plippy wants to say something.
No, I don't. I'm sticking around back here.
You're just being a dick.
Carry on, sorry. Carry on.
No, yeah, but I do have high hopes for the future. but I know Artivous is not going to agree with me on that.
I like to think that in Britain, going from the point earlier, that the Muslims are actually only down to 52% thinking being gays and are wrong.
Yeah.
I like to think that our strong common progress, and we hope that we hit them harder than they hit us. It's like the car accident of cultures, you know, just hoping that you hit them worse than they hit you back, you know.
There's not going to be as much simulation as people think there's going to be.
No.
Like,
it has to be two-way.
Yeah, it has to be two-way, and for the most part, that doesn't happen with Islam. It'd be different if they didn't stick to their own areas, and basically take over towns and
you have to remember,
and small areas. If they were forced to integrate and live with other people and live around other people, that would be different.
If you don't even care, if you talk about the UK,
force they shit on other people.
Yeah, if we talk about assimilation here, I think if you have to look after World War II, when we had an awful lot of basically Pakistani and other Indian Sikhs coming over here. Look at Britain now. We've got curry houses everywhere. We've got loads of Indian people with the most adorable British accents who call people a bunch of fucking twats. I have a story about this. I saw.
Yes, but they didn't.
I want to tell you about some. This is about assimilation. I'm talking about when it goes both ways is what Roy was talking about. You had this is a couple of days ago. I was in the supermarket, and you saw these old Indian people standing around in an aisle, blocking it off, talking in their native tongue, should we put to say, and their daughter come around with her headscarf on, not a Islamic headscarf, it was a fashion thing more than anything else, and she goes, "Mum, Dad, move your fucking ass," and I thought, "You've become British," and I moved on. And that is absolutely perfectly fine. If you look at Britain, we've assimilated so much of their stuff. A lot of their food, the curry, some of the fashions. Unfortunately, a lot of their carpets.
Yeah.
We have assimilated their carpets, and boy, are they not nice. But
they're amazing.
They're very intricate, but I don't like the aesthetic of them.
It's like here in the United States, we have Muslim communities, but we actually have a smaller Muslim population in the U.S. than we do Jews, and Jews were otherwise the smallest religious contingent in the United States, except for Muslims.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're trying to run them out or anything. I don't know.
It's more to keep them in check, because they know the Muslims here know that if they try and do more ridiculous stuff, there is a gigantic Jewish community that's going to fight them here.
Yeah,
well, there's also the fact. Well, the point that I was
sorry, Roy. I will let you finish. I was just saying that my small point was that look at Sweden. I mean, the Jews and the gays have abandoned Sweden, and one of the group has moved.
Oh yeah, they left.
Yeah, a lot of them moved over to Norway
because they know what's coming.
Yeah,
they know what's coming.
Roy, carry on.
Yeah.
Roy, carry on.
Well, the thing is that in America, with very few exceptions, we don't really have ghettoized areas. You move to the United States, you become an American. It's just part of the process. We do not say, okay, here's a Muslim part of town, here's a Mexican part of town. You may have a lot of people of the same culture or race who tend to move into a given area, but that's all organic. There is no walled communities or local police or anything. None of that kind of thing's tolerated. It's like if you come to America, you play by the same rules as everybody else. So if you wanted to move a Muslim culture over to the U.S. and turn it into a specialized ghetto area, there'd be very few places that you could do that and get away with it.
Yeah,
I think that may be part of the problem.
I say transplant them to Compton. You want to come over here? You got to live in the hood.
No, but speaking from a country that is right next to Sweden, so we can see this crazy bullshit whenever we cross the border. But
straight out of the Emirates.
Yeah, but it is not even as bad as in England, in Norway at this point. Even though the security, the people in charge of the surveillance, the police surveillance service, or it's called PST in Norwegian, so it's the police's security service, and they have come out now and said that they are expecting an attack in Norway within the next couple of years, but they are doing everything they can to stop it. And they've been really successful thus far in stopping Muslim terror, even though we've had terror hit us within the last 10 years, but that was right-wing extremist terror. So
I remember...
Let me just finish my point, is that you have to remember that in Europe, different countries, especially if they're outside of the EU, they have a different way of doing things when it comes to the immigration policy. Even though we're part of the Schengen area, that only applies to citizens with passports. So it doesn't matter, they can't move into Norway and get benefits without the Norwegian government giving them those benefits. And having benefit cuts in that during the Conservative government now has actually decreased our rate of immigration to below what they wanted, far below what they wanted. So it's one of those situations that Scandinavia's not completely fucked, even though Sweden is.
Yeah, that's not the. It's not representative of the whole.
No, and exactly. And in addition, Norway has a very good communication with the Muslim community. Both the Muslim community in general. There's been a split within the Muslim community as of late. The more conservative part of Islam, of the Islamic Council in Norway, has gotten basically shafted by the larger member organization, the Bosnian Muslims and a couple of the Pakistani Muslims, and also a few of different types of more moderate Muslims have said, "Fuck off." The Turkish ones, especially, as well. So
I love them.
Yeah,
I love the moderate Muslims. They always sit there and do nothing.
Yeah. No, the thing is that they are actually trying to fight this as well. So, and there are, for instance, I have a lot of Turkish friends, and a lot of them are saying, "Yeah, just fucking close the border. Them guys be crazy."
Yeah, we got away from this shit. Why are you letting it come here?
Yeah.
So it's
we're leaving and going to America.
Yeah, it's far more complicated than I mean, the European situation is far more complicated than what you guys are seeing in the media.
Donald Trump say what you want.
Yeah,
you can say what you want about my country.
Yeah,
but the response that you saw, you saw me show that vid of that basically that terrorist dude was basically trapped on a bus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, if that had happened in, say, in London, you would have gotten away and killed a bunch of cops.
Yep.
Like,
the funny thing is that actually happened around the time of the 7/7 bombings.
Oh yeah.
No, London police are armed, so
yeah, that's what
some of them.
Another thing I liked about Belfast, the police all had fucking guns. Felt very much safer. Anyway, one thing I will say is that the funny thing about London was before the a ginger dude. Yeah. One thing I will say about London is that
people don't realize that there is a large part of just ginger community in the Islamic world because
it's weird, isn't it?
Muhammad had a red beard, and so that's considered revered.
Was that it?
Damn.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of
Don't let them get to Wales or Scotland, Jesus.
My family actually has
Muhammad, I have found you. Fuck off. My name's McDowell.
That's why you see a lot of them, because they're considered prestige because they have red beards.
Oh wow.
One place that they do though.
That's the thing though, is that for just as an example, my family is essentially a double assimilation American story. We came over from Scotland to Mexico. Mm-hmm. We didn't go to the United States. We went to Mexico.
Fucking Fib Topper.
Yep. And we worked the mines in Mexico for a couple of generations, built up money, but the thing was, we didn't set up like a Scottish enclave down there.
Was it salt mines?
No, gold mines. Actual gold mines. I could. We went down. We went down to get the gold. Yeah. So, anyways, we worked the gold mines. We made enough money after a couple generations that we moved to the United States from there. But both times we assimilated into the culture. So there is actually a family recipe book with a recipe for Mexican haggis in there.
What the fuck?
That sounds horrible.
We had the respect. We're like, look, we come to Mexico. We bring our culture, but we're also going to learn the language. We're not going to create a Scottish enclave with the St. Andrew's flag flying on top of it.
Oh, that would be
Repeat
awesome.
that sentence. Repeat that foodstuff sentence, please, Roy. Please.
What? I don't think I could do it a second time.
Haggis with Mexican spices.
Oh yes.
Send it
Mexican
to me.
haggis.
Send it to me. I want it. I will make it.
No,
Okay.
no.
Is that not wrapped in a
Alright.
sheep's stomach? But
This
it's-
evil
it's-
shall not spread in my
No,
sight.
no,
No.
It's virtually the entire thing, but okay. Here, the main thing you have to remember is that you soak the barley in chorizo.
Okay.
Ah, right. Okay. I get the
You,
feeling
you,
that,
you soak it together as an add-on for the rest of the normal recipe,
Yeah.
and it's just spicy as hell.
Mm.
I've had it once. It's like, okay, that was an experience.
I love it if you had like all the offal that goes inside a haggis, but instead of wrapping it in the sheep's stomach, you just put it in a tortilla.
That's,
To a
Did
true
you?
Mexican, that's an insult to the tortilla, the noble
you-
Oh,
tortilla.
well, yes, it would
Did
be.
you?
It's as
Did you? Did you
Excuse me,
scream?
No,
Did you?
wrapping a tortilla. The tortilla is a savage food.
Yeah.
You have
Did
to
you
fight for that
scream?
sheep's stomach, for God's sake.
Did you scream "Arriba" afterwards?
So changing the subject to something else. So Shia LaBeouf, hey guys, what about?
Oh yeah,
yes,
Shia
yes,
LaBeouf.
thank you, Plippy.
Shia LaBeouf. Let's.
Okay.
What happened? What happened? I've been away.
All right, hold on. Let me give the road down. Basically, Shia LaBeouf, drunk and disorderly in Georgia. Nothing new. He gets shit faced wherever he goes and causes trouble. That's just what he does.
Is he trying to become the new Russell Crowe?
I guess, but that's
Russell Crowe was talented.
and Russell Crowe can fight.
Russell Crowe had a career before he went off the deep end.
And after it as well.
So basically, he's hammered, and he keeps asking this dude for a cigarette. And so the dude's like, "No, I'm not gonna give you a cigarette." So he gets super pissed off that the guy didn't give him a cigarette. And that's where the whole drunk and disorderly came from, because he had this huge fucking temper tantrum about somebody not giving him a fucking cigarette. So he gets arrested, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking cam footage here, which is why I love cameras on cops, because shit like this happens and it's hilarious. And so the video comes out, like there's a whole bunch of videos of him acting like a fucking retard that night coming out. But the one that comes first is the one where he's pissed off at the black cop for not letting him go because he's...
Two of them. 2 black cops he berated.
Yeah, it's there's 2 black cops that arrest him. So he's yelling at these black cops saying, "Man, why can't you be down? Why can't you just let me go? I know your struggles." Yeah. Like it's the most racist liberal bullshit.
I know your struggles. You have
like this automatic assumption that because he's empathetic towards black people, that the black cops should let him go. Like black people can't follow the laws or do their jobs properly. And then when that's clear that isn't happening, he then starts insulting them for trying to tell them they portrayed their race and Trump doesn't get, which has absolutely nothing to do with anything, like going on this tirade about Trump doesn't care about them and they're traitors, and it just...
That's what it came down to.
Bottled liberal racism.
People in the fucking pen, bitch, you whore. Why does he keep saying bitch? Why does he keep saying bitch? Why?
Because it's really, really insulting to black women.
Oh, because he keeps saying whore. When he was arrested by one of the police officers that arrested him was a woman, and he kept screaming whore. And it was just bad choice of timing, bad timing on the dialogue, dude. change.
Yeah, he was doing this all night, and then there's the video of him doing it in the hallway, and that white cop doing the Pepe smug smile.
Oh god, that's brilliant. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but it was perfect. But my
Yeah,
favorite
it
part
was. It was. He wasn't doing it on purpose. It just happened, and it's like, thank you for at least being honest about the fact that you're just a liberal racist. The moment a black person didn't fall in line with what he wanted and what was supposed to be right in his eyes, they were a traitor that deserved, destruction. As he threatened the police officer that he would fuck them up if he had his guns. Like
the cam footage was great. The cam footage was great. You sat there going, "Well, fuck you, bitch. Wait, you put your own fucking people in the pen. You put your own people in the pen." And you hear the policeman
like,
going,
"You aren't black. You fucking crap." Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, he was trying to act like he was a black dude.
You hear the policeman in the back just going, "Oh boy."
Yeah, it's like we don't have to deal with this bullshit every single day.
I'm going to be in front of the chief and over the internet on this.
That's what I loved. He actually tried to big time them. I go, "I've got $1 million price lawyers, and you're going to waste your time." Then he looks at the black people and go, hey black man, you work for the white man. You're a son." I just thought, what is wrong with
This is why black cops end up not giving a fuck after a certain point, because they have to hear this shit constantly.
I never thought I would be pro. Oh, sorry, Roy. But I was just saying, I'd be at the point where I'd actually be pro cop on certain things. I never thought I'd see the day, but these days I'm kind of like.
Did you say pro cop?
Like, this is the kind of bullshit they have to deal with. Literally a rich white guy telling him he's a traitor to his race because he won't let him go because he's drunk and rambling in public over a fucking loose cigarette.
Yeah, it's the idea that you get so mired in, how racist my country is and all this, and then
you believe it.
You can't try and use that to your advantage when...
Well, this is the problem. When you've got somebody who they've inculcated themselves with this mentality that if I am white, that means I am racist. I'm American, that means I am racist. You are essentially giving yourself a pass by saying it's not my fault.
Aye.
That if I'm racist, it's because of the society. It's because of everybody else. I'm just this way because of white supremacy, and so if he's drunk, he just starts belting it out because he's never thought that he's responsible for his own actions.
Well, that's my thinking. That was what I thought was really amazing. The fact that he was arrested, he was caught, and the only thing that could go through his drunken adult mind, where your most base thoughts come out, was all about race.
Yeah.
That's all he could think about.
Well, you saw the same with that last rant of his. That was it in a Starbucks or something?
French fries? Oh yeah, you're racist for not giving me French fries. I honestly think Shia LaBeouf thinks he's trans black.
No, he is basically obsessed with Hitler.
I'm fighting the forces of white supremacy, especially in myself.
I'm not kidding. His actual whole thing comes from, he thinks that the rise of Trump and everything and the whole system of America is the return of Adolf Hitler's Germany. He does seem to believe that. There was a guy who actually picked him out and fucked with him. They said, "Hey, sure." When his first, he will not divide his camera, which I miss. I miss that thing so much. And he said, someone goes, "Hey, sure, come here." And he goes, "Hitler's nothing wrong." And his reaction was so just me. If someone said that to me, I'd be like,
Stash guy. Yeah, it was Stash guy. And he's Sure, come here. He's like, "What's up, bang bang?" And he's like, "Hitler did nothing wrong."
And his reaction was just so humorless and completely viscerally, "Oh my god, this guy's serious." And I was just thinking, come on, dude.
Yeah, and you know where you've seen that?
What a normal person would have done was raise an eyebrow and giving him the quizzical look, like, "What? Serious?"
And the thing is, we've had this sort of thing before in America. We've had it before. It's been a cultural problem before, but it came from the religious right. The religious right were the ones who were telling everybody since the 1950s, commies are coming and they're going to nuke the country and they're infiltrating. And so anytime anything involving Russia during the Cold War popped up, these people would be there like clockwork saying it's a Russian plot.
You mean like now?
It's San Francisco fifth column infiltrators.
Yeah.
And you still have you still have a few of those folks hanging around, but now that mentality is on the left, where they've been believing this shit for so long that at the drop of a hat now, it's just a panic button.
You drink vodka and all of a sudden you're a Russian agent.
You know what's really funny, though? I thought
kid you not.
Screaming about the commies. I thought, they're just crazy, but now I'm thinking, oh, hold on, maybe they had a point. You should look at all the anti-fire and all that running around and beating people up and burning shops and
which is what they did in
Does this
Europe
mean I
in the
can't
30s.
drink White Russians anymore?
I seem to remember sorry, Roy. I seem to remember an early hangout where I said this seems more and more like McCarthyism. When we were doing when we were deep involved in GG, I said this looks like McCarthyism, and it's just gotten worse. Yeah,
where you have guilt by association, and it doesn't matter how far the associations are. It's like you would have a guy in Hollywood, a producer who says, yeah, this guy worked with an actor who worked with a screenwriter who once went to a Communist Party meeting.
Yeah.
Well, what's that make him? A commie!
Yeah. And it's the crazy irony in that it's more Russians ever since they dropped got rid of the Soviet Union. And now you've got, domestic anarcho-terrorists, around the globe, in the West anyway. Germany, Northern Ireland.
You see this with Antifa, where they're going on about, everybody's a Nazi if they're... Oh, what was it? Tim Pool was talking about this.
Yeah.
Where he was caught in a photo where Lauren Southern is just passing behind him and somebody else.
Yes.
And he and the other guy get assaulted, or at least the German guy definitely got assaulted during the Black Bloc protest recently.
Yes, that is a very nice segue to the G20 meeting, so we can start to go into that.
Exactly, and this is what happened because Tim Pool was covering the G20 stuff, and you had the Black Bloc stuff going on there, and they're like, "Hey, Lauren Southern, she's totally a Nazi. Who's that guy and the guy who are with her in the photo? They must also be Nazis."
Yeah,
and so they went after them and started posting, here's their location, go beat them up. So they're organized to do this sort of thing, and it is exactly the way the extreme right used to be in America, where it was guilt by association, go after them, get these bastards, a bunch of rednecks lynching somebody in the middle. Yeah, seriously, lynching some news reporter in the middle of the night for being too leftist in the Deep South, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the worst thing was one of those journalists, because this is one of the things that I actually took notice on while I was on vacation. One of those journalists was an unaffiliated guy who was standing next to a guy who was in that photograph, that original photograph, who was, by the way, that guy in the photograph was completely unrelated to both Tim.
He was just walking,
Luke,
happened to be walking in the same direction.
Yeah. It was three people who were walking past one another at that moment in time.
Yeah. There were Luke Rudowski, Tim Pool, and Lauren Southern were walking past a local French journalist who they tacitly knew, but they didn't know him. They weren't hanging out with him until later that day when Luke and him were walking together and got assaulted, and not by Black Bloc members, by people in ordinary garb. They weren't disguising themselves as fucking as goddamn they were regular bystanders calling Luke and Max, I think his name was, Nazis. It's completely unbelievable.
Identitarian for white identitarians. So they were actually calling them not necessarily Nazis per se, but white supremacists.
I heard one of them, one of the Germans use Nazi Schweinhund when he attacked Luke Rudowski. He called him Nazi Schweinhund. And then Luke answered back, "I'm not a Nazi, dude." And then he got punched.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care what you say. They made
You're a
mind
Nazi
already.
by saying you're a Nazi. That's
Yes.
their attitude.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you're either a
you're-
Nazi
you're-
or you're an effigy.
Yeah.
No,
So-
you're literally you
You're
are
a Jew.
Nazi if you are passing by somebody they also think is a Nazi.
Yes.
Because then you're associated merely by breathing the same air within about 3 feet.
Yeah, and I'm pretty
I've
sure
seen one
Laura.
of them called a dude with a yarmulke on. They called him a Nazi.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
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 It turned out that
Thank you, fuck.
there was a German journalist for a large publication, Die Zeit, that was tweeting out pictures of Lauren Southern, Tim Pool, and there's basically for the members of Antifa to just hunt them down, essentially. Their last locations, things like this.
Yeah, and it's crazy because Tim Pool, he's mixed race, which he keeps mentioning every video he does, which is
He like me, is he a quadroon?
yeah.
He
I
didn't
love
used to.
it.
He's presenting it now only as bona fides.
Yeah, and, I mean, he is. I love the dude, and I think I'm a patron of his, on Patreon. But I love the dude, and he's a hardworking dude. But he has started mentioning that he's part Korean a lot. But I understand why he does it, because he's making a point. He's saying not even he's safe from that guilty by association shit, which is true of a lot of African Americans, I guess, as well, who stand up against this sort of politically correct bullshit. So it's
It's why I'm glad that New Jersey labeled Antifa as terrorists finally.
yes, it is about time.
I actually read the report on that, and it's not necessarily as
It's a start. I know it's small and it's meaningless to the most part.
no. It's not that. It's not the scale. It's that they are kind of wishy-washy about it. First of all, they don't call them terrorists; they call them extremists.
Mm-hmm.
They do say that they're violent extremists, but every mention that they make of them says that they're actually fighting real Nazis.
Oh,
If I was an Antifa member, and they specifically mention conflicts and attacks that they've made on groups and organizations that are actually neo-Nazis, but these are the only conflicts that they mention. If I was Antifa, I would point to this and say, I'm proud of that because, see, we're beating up real Nazis and they confirm that they're real Nazis. We're not just beating up random people. I could use that as propaganda in a heartbeat.
Hi.
So, yeah, just...
yeah, but
That's what they do.
it's the entire and the G20. When I saw the footages from G20 while I was away, I was sort of I completely lost the wind because it just seemed like what the national media, especially what Norwegian media presented, and what was coming out of guys like Tim Pool and Luke Radowski and several others. And I know that Luke does a lot of sort of riot porn, and Tim has stepped away from it. He's started to do more cultural shit, which is why I talked about that purge thing earlier. But it's so clear that they are trying to present one side as being reasonable when they're not. So
no, you looked at it all the G20 coverage of the actual quote unquote protests in the media was all like they were using fucking fake photos from other fucking protests and other events, because if they actually showed pictures from what was happening, people would have been horrified. Like, I saw the video of that couple fucking literally in the middle of the fucking street while this shit was going down and people were looting stores and shit. And I'm like, when do you decide that this needs to be dealt with like You literally have some Sodom and Gomorrah fucking shit going down.
Yeah,
where if you have an Antifa, if you have the right black and red flag in your store window, you don't get your shit pushed.
That was the thing that really freaked me out about that. That is just. I know it's a God. I'm breaking Godwin's law by saying this, but it seemed like the reverse of the Juden.
Kristallnacht.
Yeah, Kristallnacht thing that they would paint Juden on Jewish shops and then smash the windows of the they would target the Jews, and now they were doing the exact opposite. That if they had anti-capitalist posters in the window, not even a plea, please don't break the windows of my store, was enough. No, you had to actually side with the fucking protesters.
You had to buy
be safe.
The sign that they were selling.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had to buy protection.
Yeah, it's
Did you guys see the?
It's both 1930s Germany and it's 1930s fucking United States. Little Italy in New York.
Did you see the guy that went up and made a speech at one of their events, consisting of nothing but hip quotes?
Yeah,
and they all are applauding it.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Some of them could be vague, but well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of his speeches and his rise to power was.
But if they're so-called
kind of socialist,
anti-fascist and anti-Nazi, you think they'd know who the things the main Nazi guys said?
Yeah.
You think they'd at least have some
right. Yeah.
Gentlemen, let's bear in mind that we're not actually looking at the Nazis here. We're looking at the people who preceded the Nazis and who made the Nazis look like heroes when they came in to restore order, the Red Guard, which at one point did take over Berlin with an entire division of essentially black bloc, red, same sort of people, anarcho-communists. They did the same thing, and if you ever see the movie Rise of Evil,
yes,
I highly recommend it.
Watch Rise of Evil. That's a great fucking movie.
There's a point where you have these pro-Soviet revolutionaries who are in the streets with rifles and shouting and taking over areas, and then a gang of German soldiers from World War I pull up in a car with a machine gun and just start blowing them away.
Yeah,
guys.
And that's where that. Yeah, go ahead.
I have something to announce. YouTube has made a massive change.
All right.
You know how on porno sites, if you hover over a video, it starts playing it?
Yes. Yeah.
YouTube has begun that. YouTube has finally caught up.
Hey! Hallelujah!
Again? Well, the porn industry manages to innovate so well.
Yeah.
I know.
Porn is always ahead in technology. We've had this conversation.
Porn is always ahead.
Or some head.
Oh yeah, that's pretty trippy.
No, but it's going back to the thing about people keep forgetting. Antifa is an old organization. They stem from Germany in the 1920s. They were there. It's the same fucking entity. That's why I'm petrified.
They were exporting communism.
Yeah.
Into Poland, into Germany. The invasion of Poland in 1920 was in part because they had already uprisings of Soviet groups in Germany, and they're like, well, to unite Germany and Russia, we have to go through Poland.
Yeah, and that's
so they invaded Poland.
Yeah,
so,
and that's the thing that people keep forgetting is that it's not just whoops, we got right-wing extremism right in the middle of us and nobody saw it coming. No, there's always signs. There's always interplay between the left and the right on the scale.
I have a question.
I told you, politics is like a bit like physics, where every overreaction there's an equal and opposite overreaction.
Yeah.
I have a question. You know the Nazis and the socialists, and the Nazis, Hitler, Chairman Mao and Stalin are viewed as the errors of the right-wing attack.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone tell me what about them makes them right-wing, please?
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't talk about really. Is they always make this assumption that the Nazis themselves were a right-wing group, and that wasn't true at all. I mean, it's
definitely didn't start out. It's when you start bringing in racial hierarchy that people would say that.
The Thule Society that started the whole anti-Semitic movement in, well, it didn't start it, but it capitalized on it during the late 1800s, not the 18th century, but 1800s. They were definitely ultra conservative, but they were ultra conservative in addition to being pagan as well. So it was a weird fucking mix. But
well, here's my thing. If I can interject here slightly, is that people seem to misunderstand what when I hear right wing, what I hear is smaller government, and left wing I hear is larger government. Obviously, there's going to be some connotations going on beyond that. For example, you're going to bring cultures with you wherever you go. But I don't know why right wing is by default a conservative.
I can explain that. Because there's a difference between conservatism, for instance, for instance conservatism in Norway. And conservatism in the United States. Conservatism in the United States is for smaller government and less interference, while in Norway it is for smaller government, but they're very, I wouldn't call them very nationalistic, but they are fond of the things like the monarchy, and that's why traditionally conservatives have been connected to the state, to the authority, but that does not mean that socialism is not a statist ideology either. They are both. It's the horseshoe thing, and that's why I say that the Nationalist Socialist Party of Germany started in the beer halls with both aristocrats and the Workers' Party. That's the thing that people keep forgetting, is that before Hitler joined the National Socialist Party, he was a socialist who did who worked as a spy for the German government in extremist environments. He had a predilection for those types of environments, and he worked for the government to map them. And when he got involved with the National Socialist Party in Germany, in Munich, actually in München, he found an audience that were finally willing to listen to his ideas, and also that he could play off his own sort of hatred and so on.
Regardless, we can say that the right-left dynamic, in broader terms, in terms of most political discourse, while used a lot, is in fact completely meaningless and pointless. It means different things to different people.
It's getting that way now. I mean, now that the right wing has something of its identity politics in the alt-right, and one that has its position on civil rights, because that was always the way. Is the left wanted the civil position, and the right chose how fast they got there by how much money they plugged into it. At least in America. But then,
I do kind of have to correct on this. I've been waiting for
it. Yeah. I mean, more.
There are similarities between the Nazi Party and conservatism as it stands in America, on the simple basis that both these elements liked law and order.
Yeah.
In Germany, there was a huge demand for it because they were coming out of not only the Depression but the loss of World War I, country's disintegration, the Weimar government, etc. So Germans really wanted law and order, and they wanted to return to tradition and stability. Stability is really the watchword for most conservatives in the United States. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's the same people throughout most of Europe as well. Carry on, sorry.
So I think the difference here, though, is that we like more of a freewheeling capitalism in the United States with less regulation and thus more opportunity. So where we're more liberal is in economics. Socially, we're more conservative. And it's reversed over in Europe, where you want a more stable economy, but more liberal social policies that are more freewheeling.
I always look at it like this: is that the moderates are the freedom-loving people who understand.
Oh, everybody says they want freedom.
No, yeah, but you know what I mean. It's the people.
Everyone wants the government to give them freedom, but not the freedom to other people to let them speak out.
Yeah. No. But what I mean is that a lot of centrists, a lot of people who are in the center of things, are easier to have it easier to understand both the freedoms and or both the rights and the responsibilities that you have as a citizen in a liberal democracy.
Get called traitors by both sides.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, now you're getting the blue tick cabal is going off on centrists by that it just means.
You saw me working into that segue, did you?
Yeah. Well, it got me that like.
Sorry, Dave. Sorry. If you look at like John Cleese's piece on, he did this in the early '80s. This piece on what both sides hate is the moderates. Look it up. It's called John Cleese on Moderates, and just look it up on YouTube. It's kind of timeless, as I keep saying.
Yeah.
This shit.
I'm going to tweet it out on my Twitter, so you know.
Yeah.
On my Twitter, I'm going to tweet it out right now.
Yeah, he's got the biggest Twitter following of anyone, so you're probably going to see it. But it's just that this whole thing has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and we keep thinking we're more advanced, but not. We're socially still pretty much in the exact same place.
I haven't mentioned him I haven't mentioned him on the podcast for 2 weeks, but I'm going to say it. It's like Jordan It's like Jordan Peterson says, with the political environment moving from left to right like a snake through the grass.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Point of order. You haven't mentioned it for 2 weeks because you haven't been here for 2 weeks.
Exactly. I didn't say anything else. I said I hadn't mentioned it for 2 weeks. So no, I did.
But
I know. I just had to make that clear.
Yeah.
The issue that I'm seeing is that most of this kind of this new attack on centrism, as it were, is from the blue tick cabal, who are so far left that they believe that the opposite opinion to theirs is killing loads of people.
And it's not even opposite opinion.
I was gonna tweet this out. But I may as well say it here. SJWs believe that gender is non-binary, but politics are.
Yeah, what is that?
It's not even disagreeing with their opinions. It's their automatic assumption of what you think has to be in the middle of what you want and what they want. So they'll automatically go into this hyperbole of, we want less racism. The right wants more racism. You want to be in the middle and have moderate racism because they want to vilify you. It can't be where you agree with the left on this or
the golden mean fallacy.
Yeah, the healthcare thing's funny to me because they have this idea that if healthcare is not 100% subsidized by the state, then people will die.
It's not now.
Disbelief.
It's not. This is the thing. Under Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, nobody got free health care, okay?
No.
Yes.
What you got was a mandated system of insurance that was theorized to bring down the rates so that more people could afford it, and it backfired. So, but they act as like 20 million people got on insurance where they weren't on insurance before. Yeah, we were kind of in the middle of a recession. We've had a recovery since then. We had
if you don't sign up
prior to that, and if you don't
sign
up,
it's $150 a month.
No. It is now. It is now.
Yeah. You guys been paying for...
Once I was actually going... Well, if I can just talk about my perspective shit here. I was actually speaking to some people who are massive Obama fans in the UK. Oh, listen. I don't really hate Obama. I'm just saying he's nothing special is what I'm saying.
They're bought into a cult personality. It's easy to do.
Yeah. It's that
he's a disappointment.
They actually said... With Obamacare, they think Obamacare is exactly the same as the NHS. I was just thinking.
I wouldn't compare
and there's
the
people
US.
in Australia that think it's like our system, and People
That's
say,
what I'm saying.
"Oh, we got free healthcare," and I'm like, "No, we don't.
No,
We
we
have
don't
what's called a
have-
Medicare levy.
We do
That's
not free
1% of income."
Yeah,
we do
socialized.
not have, we don't have free healthcare in the UK either. If you can make over a certain amount, you pay for it. If you do not make, if you are dead fast broke and old, no, you don't. That is fair, I think, because I am not as much as I am the most anarcho-capitalist kind of person. I do have a heart. I'm willing to give my tax money for the healthcare system, but the healthcare system still has. If you can make an income, you have to pay for your medication. Sorry, but what they think is that Obamacare is America having its own NHS.
Yeah,
Well,
They
they
did.
were trying to push it. They pointed to us a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's not the same system. It's not even vaguely the same.
No, it's
No,
more
you see,
it's more
I-
similar to our system. It's more. The UK has a similar system to Norway, I guess, because
Yeah.
we pay a small amount every time that we go to the doctor, and then we don't pay for.
No.
We pay a small
But yeah,
amount for
the
surgeries and so on.
point
Pay for
here
your
is
own
though
medication.
that they're screaming that thousands of people will die if you repeal this. It's like, were they dying before we had it? Were these thousands of people? Have we actually been saved? Let's look at the number of people who died for medical-related matters before and after. Are we actually losing thousands more? Are we saving thousands more?
Nope.
There might be.
No, there's no such numbers.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone's tried to do a survey on that at a university, but is getting blocked by, or can't find a sponsor to get the money to do the investigation. That would not surprise me.
What really drives this, though, in the United States is that we have football team politics. Where it's more a matter of if you see your own player make a fumble, like with Obamacare, you try and pretend it wasn't a fumble, that he was knocked off balance by the other team, and they were offsides. Those bums. Yeah. That's the thing.
It's
straight up.
Yeah,
The vestigial
no
organ of the
sense.
mind.
It's the pride. They invest their pride and their egos into who's going to win, not whether it's a good idea. And 99% of people don't read any of the stuff that they discuss.
Right.
It's like the people who bitch about news articles where they've only read the headline.
Yeah,
which I do all the time. Fair's fair.
Anyways, should we talk about Trump in Paris before we end the show? Because
in Paris,
Trump in Paris.
No, I don't care.
It's not really a big issue. Only that people are trying to make a big issue out of it.
I saw the Here's the thing. Okay, first of all, he got in. Apparently, there was some.
John, everybody, here's the thing with John. John will tell you the thing. Here we go. Here we go, John. Here's the thing. John will tell you the thing right now.
Is that my new theme song? Because that's way too fucking long. No, but I saw that.
Explanations.
He got in trouble. Trump got in trouble for a few comments he made to
you don't say
the French first lady, which
oh my god, how dare he?
Yeah, which I just saw the comments on TV like a few hours ago, and I just thought, what the fuck? Why are you making a huge deal out of this of all fucking things?
Because they don't have any real dirt.
I mean,
the Trump
no.
opposition since November has been in this mode.
Yeah. You need to stop being surprised by them acting like retards.
I know.
Over absolutely everything he has done.
In the
last 6 months.
Yeah.
There was never this much
massive freak out.
There was never this much focus on Silvio Berlusconi, and I can guarantee
he's grabbed a lot more pussy.
Way more. Is the fact that
he called Angela Merkel a unfuckable bitch.
Lardass.
Yeah, Lardass.
I don't know. I don't know how calling her an unfuckable bitch is wrong. To be perfectly honest,
it's an unfuckable.
It's a pretty fair assessment.
But the thing is, there was nothing for them to gain by
taking
putting the entire media focus on Silvio Berlusconi and what he said and the ramifications for it and the culture that is being brought in by this.
Yeah. No, but the thing that
It's a
pisses
big
me
nothing
off.
burger.
Yeah, but the thing that
Here it
pisses
is,
me
look
off.
No, don't let it piss you off.
No,
They're going to be like this
let me finish.
forever.
Yeah, I know, I realize that. But the thing is that there are things they could criticize Trump for, but
They don't care.
It disappears. It disappears in the amount of shit that they in addition talk about, because there are things that I think he's doing
People don't
wrong.
care.
I know.
Today in the news, 50 articles. Does Trump clip his toenails properly?
Yes.
He had 2 scoops of ice cream.
Does he do the right? Does he do the right
No,
foot
no, no,
before
no,
the
no, no.
left?
Crucial to the
I
leader
don't
of the free world.
understand how it surprises anybody
No, it doesn't.
how they've acted this last 6 months.
No, this is a man.
This is the new normal.
on the
This is
nuclear
what you should be used to. Them writing 50 fucking articles about a tweet that could be that was a fucking typo.
Yeah.
Didn't you see my tweet earlier
Wait.
on this week where I compared Trump to Zaphod Beeblebrox?
Yes.
Zaphod is a hero.
It was
and a
very
god.
apt.
Zaphod is
To the point is,
amazing.
you're going to have to deal with this. The media is not there to talk about issues or anything important.
No.
They are there for the process of creating hysteria and making money off of it. Nothing
Yeah,
more,
they're using
nothing
Trump as
less.
the giant
That's their
distraction
job.
from the evil that they're up to.
Yeah.
You expecting anything else from them is naive. Period. You expecting them to be journalists at all in the traditional sense is naive. Period. Stop expecting it. Stop being upset about it. It's bullshit.
I'm not
They're all
upset about it.
Stop it. Stop it. Let it go. The
He's
war has
proselytizing,
lost.
berating you at the moment.
There
Okay.
is
I think
there is no ethics in gaming journalism.
I think we
I'm
need to
going-
rescue Artivous from his from having
Yeah,
stared
I'm going
into
to
the
too.
abyss too
I'm
much.
gonna from the next time, because Artivis's birthday is the Boxing Day. Am I correct? 26th of
Yes,
December.
my birthday is Boxing Day.
So basically, what's going to happen is that Artivous Ira is going to need new PC people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open
You-
up a crowdfunder to buy that man a goddamn PC.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I have an old
No.
laptop sitting around here with Windows 7 on it, and you just pay for shipping. I'll get it over to him.
No,
battery's
no,
dead,
no,
though,
I
so
mean,
it's
I
to
mean,
get plugged
I
in.
mean, the console gaming has made him into a nihilist. That's all I'm saying.
Can we go
No,
like
I'm-
Really,
straight-
really, we're going to
Yeah.
blame this on console
I'm
gaming?
going to
Really?
save
You're
Artivis.
go-
I'm going to save him. I'm going to make him a PC Master Race member. By this
Plippy.
26th of December, I'm going to somehow, I don't know why, because I just thought of it right now, to come up with some kind of crowdfunding scheme. Dr. Evil is going to put it together because he's the techie person, you know, techie.
Well, I don't know nothing about crowdfunding. I can't even crowdfund my
not
way out of a
crowdfunding,
job.
he-
Why you have, no, you're going to
like give you a list of parts for like the
Oh,
base
yeah.
raise point, and then like stretch goal stuff for like nicer bits and things.
So what we're going to do is right now I'm going to donate all of my current finances on me, $5.99 British sterling. That's going to be our new thing for the autumn. This is going to be like Jan's book. This is going to be
No, do not
Kill
do
it every
that.
time.
except this time we're not going to have this huge amount of backlash against it as Jan's book has had.
What? One bad fucking review. One goddamn bad review out of 6.
No. We've all had to personally go, Plippy, for God's
Yeah.
sake, stop talking about this goddamn book, please. Please.
My roommate complained about your novel, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Oh,
Hearing
man.
about it.
You sure you want to do this on stream?
He said he gave up about the time that there was burning involved. Is that he felt so sorry for. He's read Fallout Equestria fanfic that involved the main
Oh,
character
dear
getting
Lord.
reduced to a half robot, and he's like, that was more upbeat than this story is.
Jesus.
Oh, but I'm the nihilist though.
He says good writing though. It's good writing. It's just for him is like, when does this get good for the guy?
It's that's the first fucking chapter. I mean, he's got to at least read 1/3 before he gives up. Anyways,
Anyway, I'm going to talk about some fun gaming stuff because this shit's depressing. All right.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, go.
Right,
Do,
two things.
Wait.
No.
We need to brainstorm a hashtag fun thing now.
Oh, god damn it.
Save
Let's
Ira.
Talk about games.
All right.
Master
Let's talk about the Crash's Dark Souls backlash because that shit was hilarious.
Oh my god! It's
All right,
the epitome
basically,
of
Crash
everything is
Bandicoot.
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to basically Crash Bandicoot came out. There was a remake of the original 3 games, all in one for people to play.
Hmm?
It's good. Pick it up. It's fun for everybody. But the game journalists had a particular problem with the game. They couldn't actually, beat it,
Play it?
because it actually required basic stuff.
Time jumping.
And so, because they weren't used to such a video game, and it not holding their hand in every second of the game, they were trying to call it the Dark Souls of gaming. And this became a gigantic fucking meme. And when I say gigantic, I mean, I literally heard Negroes walking down the street making a joke about it, and I wasn't even affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form.
Just random people walking down the street. Can you believe?
No, I was walking by the basketball court in my complex, and I heard some kids say, "You can't beat him. He's the Dark Souls of basketball," and all the kids laughed, and I was so overjoyed.
Yeah. I got someone reached out to me, actually. A Japanese journalist reached out to me for a tweet I made that said, something about Super Mario Odyssey is the Dark Souls of Nintendo games or something. Like, I said it off the cuff. He reached out to me saying, "Excuse me, why do you think this?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, dude. I was just taking the piss out of our journalist." But
I'm deeply interested.
No, he was making an article about how Western journalists rely on saying games are like Dark Souls too much.
It's because they have no real concept of playing difficult games before Dark Souls. You can make that comparison in terms of a hard platformer to, I don't know, Crash Bandicoot, since the game is a remake of its freaking self with better graphics.
There's actually more to it. There's a business side to that, believe it or not. When you're doing an article in gaming journalism in particular, there's something called SEO, which anybody familiar with how search engines operate would understand what that means. Because Dark Souls is so prevalent, it ties in with searches. And so if you wind up using things like, "Oh yeah, this game is in many ways it is like Dark Souls," that will pop up in a search more likely than if you don't include that language.
So it's basically it's a way of
touch base. Yeah, it's a touch base for promoting your own article, even if you absolutely don't mean what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like citing your own page, like your own study.
And I found out about this because while writing for Tech Raptor, we were told don't do things like this because we don't want to sound like everybody else. It pisses our readers off, and then they don't come back.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, Polygon is the Dark Souls of what?
It's become another thing where they just like
no. Polygon is the
all of the we say all of the bad press that the gaming press has received and all the pushback, it's nothing comparable to them destroying themselves by turning themselves into memes. Like I said, the majority of kids have no idea what in the fuck Gamergate was, and they don't care. But they saw that Polygon video of them playing Doom and thought that shit was hilarious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, even anti-GG stuff like what was that webcomic that's on The Escapist? Or was on The Escapist, I can't remember. Was it Grey and Ryder?
Critical Miss.
Critical Miss, thank you. It's even they took the piss of, they said they brought in a new guy at Polygon and he's just 6 squirrels in a suit. It's all right, we'll get him.
No, because kids, they don't read any of these fucking articles on these websites about social, engineering and gaming. They look at the fucking review scores, and they don't even go to those sites for those review scores anymore. They go to the sites that collect those review scores and look at it, and they don't even look at the scores for those websites. They rather go to YouTube and whatnot. The gaming journalism is fucking dead.
Seriously, there is a Pokemon Snap fan animation parody, which includes the line of "Hey, look, it's Kotaku," and it's Psyduck wearing a hat with a computer in front of them. And they're throwing Apple products at him and go like, "Hey, Jason Schreier, he's a good guy." And
they've become a meme of how ridiculous they are, which is why when Donkey released that video being critical of gaming journalism, like everybody was like, "Yes, this is the truth. This is why people don't like you." And every gaming journalist on these major sites went in collective like meltdown mode, like freaking out on Twitter over this shit, and nobody came to their aid. Because they agreed with the dude. You are like everybody who got pissed off with the very jokes he was talking about.
If only we talked about this earlier.
I have a little bit of inside information to give about Tech Raptor, by the way. In that I just got a business update email a few days ago regarding what drives our stats. The biggest single thing far and away for driving our for views was when we do original reporting and actually dig for real information, as opposed to repeating something from somewhere else or just doing a basic news story. If we actually dig and look for stuff, that gets immense numbers of hits, to the point where like 20 articles out of the thousands that we produced last year produced about 10% of our total hits.
Nice.
So the pressure is on at Tech Raptor for us to actually dig and do real journalism and do more of it.
Speaking of what gaming journalists should be talking about right now.
Do you know what I really, really hate about this? Is the whole
speaking of big,
and it came with E3 this year with what's his name, Jeff Keighley, and it was exactly the same thing that happened with Patrick Klepek at Giant Bomb, and they did exactly the same thing. They announced something that Microsoft were going to announce 30 minutes later, and they were all congratulating themselves for coming
no,
out.
This is what I'm talking about. E3 is a joke, and okay, I'll give you an example because it's perfect and it's topical. Evo is going on right now. For those people who don't know what Evo is, it's basically the biggest video game fighting tournaments of the year. For the biggest fighting games, all happen within a couple of days during the summer. Every year, it's hype as hell.
All the Mugen stuff and everything else.
Yeah. Here's the thing: nobody in the FGC gives a shit about what happens at E3 because it's Apple freaking presentation bullshit.
Yeah.
But at Evo,
they all model it
companies show up. At Evo, companies show up and actually show their stuff and put it in the hands of the gamers. So the biggest thing about Evo is not just the tournaments. The tournaments are freaking awesome and they're funny and they're entertaining to watch. But in between, you have, hey, we just showed trailers at E3, but here's us having a fun tournament for pros to sit down and play the game and tell you what they think of it and what they like of it. And so you get to see stuff and how it plays way more than you ever do at Evo, because Evo is a cluster. I mean, because E3 is a cluster.
Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna have to check out.
Tonight. I think
I need to say that before, because I need to leave too. I have a client coming
Anyways, we are done for the week. I just want to end with one thing that I thought of while I was away. If I sell 10,000 copies of my book or my books,
God.
I will walk from Brønnøysund to Nesna, which is about 6 hours drive with a car. So, yeah, you figure it out.
He would walk 500 miles in the
That is a promise. That is a promise. Once I reach 10,000 copies sold, I'll go trekking. Anyways, that is it for this.
Do a walk.
Yeah, I'll do a walk. That is everything for this
about.
evening. This has been the Unsolicited Opinions
He's
with
just
me, my host.
Jen's just gonna travel the countryside with a duffel bag full of his books, tossing them at people like Johnny Appleseed.
Anyway, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Good night.
This has been the Unsolicited Opinions Podcast. I am your host, the Meerkat Monarch. With me, as always, is Artivous Ira, Plippy, Deefry, Roy, and Evil. Bye!
Shoopy-doo, shoop-shoopy-doo.
You care about me more.
Oh, good.
Anyway, Carson wants to go.